What's up, beautiful souls? Welcome to this Saturday night soul session live with me, LC. And I'm so grateful to have my guest tonight, Mr. Curtis Waslow, the co-creator of the Sober app. And I'm so also excited to be starting this 4-part series that's really in honor of recovery content creators. Listen, it takes a special kind of vulnerability to recover at all. And whatever recovery and healing process you're going through, it takes a lot of courage and vulnerability to do that, to get honest with oneself. But then when you feel a passion and call to then do that out loud so that people know they're not alone and that people hear a message, coming from a place of that they can relate to and can maybe, give back and get something in our lives, it becomes an extra vulnerability tossed on top of that. And I advertised getting to have our good friend Danny Turner here tonight. And it was her last minute needing to just say, I can't do it this week. It's been, a strange time, and it's been that way for all of us. I was so honored and amazed that not only did she, honor that in herself, but that then Curtis stepped up and said, you know what? I'd like to come on right then. And so we'll have about 45 minutes with Curtis. But it just inspired me to create this. So this is going to be a 4-part series because I have a guest coming up on the 25th who is also an Instagram creator, Alyssa Caitlin Coachin. So I'm excited to have her, and I want to talk about this very same thing. So to all of you that are creating content out there and you're healing out loud, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You are an inspiration to me. You are an inspiration to all of us, for all of us that have been doing it for a while, for all of you that are just coming up and using your voices in so many ways to new recovery, old timer recovery, and all phases in the middle. Thank you for sharing your gifts. And I want to dedicate this 4-part series to you. And so I love you, and we're going to get right into it. All right, let me do a little bit of housekeeping. So I'm going to tell you, have you downloaded your Sober app tonight? And we're going to talk a lot about it tonight, I'm sure. And if you go ahead and get it downloaded now, if you haven't already, right there in the App Store, Google Play Store, then you can know what we're talking about. You can follow along. This is something, a project so close to my heart with people that have just become soul family to me, all in divine destiny. We're all walking this path together. Download your Sober app. Make sure that you just get into all of the things that they offer there. It's an amazing community, amazing human beings. And while you're on Amazon this weekend doing your little shopping, don't forget to pick up Pamela Topjian's book, I Didn't Come This Far to Only Come This Far. Pamela, who's been through triumph, trial, and now to a thriving, happy, whole human being, living her dreams, chasing her passions, has made this book so affordable. She's made it under $10 to make it available for everybody. So that's on Amazon. I Didn't Come This Far to Only Come This Far by Pamela Topjian. Make sure you put the author in there. It's easy to do. Stick around to the end of this video so you can get a special gift and offer from Hypno Breakthrough and Pamela Topjian. But right now, get ready, because I am bringing you the Sober app's co-founder and my little brother from a whole nother kind of mother, Mr. Curtis Waslow. Let's go. What's up, Kurt? How are
What's
you?
up, LC? How are you, buddy?
Man, I'm so excited that you're here and so grateful that you're here with us. And, I want to make sure we send our Danny our love. Man, what a strange energy it's been these past few weeks, right?
Right?
Like, whoo,
I
it's
feel like it's
good.
been it's been with a lot of people. A lot of our collaborators over the last
Yes.
month have said, you know what? I need a break.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need a break from Instagram. I just need a break. I'm taking a break from everything. I'm having me time. But you know
I
what?
love it.
That's the best thing about recovery is
Yes.
I think you kind of mentioned this, but you made me think about it during your intro. It was when after as we're recovering, we like Danny did, it's we realize it's okay to set these barriers. If I'm not
Yes.
feeling 100%, I'm gonna say it. I'm not gonna go force myself to do something that I'm not in the right headspace to do. And that's such a
Yes.
powerful thing, is setting these strong barriers in life. And
Yes.
I think recovery helps you bring those forth and that strength to do
Yes.
so.
It certainly does, man, and I tell you, it's in a time right now where we're all just shifting and changing. Like the old ways just don't work anymore.
Right.
Like no matter what, and it becomes like this. We kind of push and pull with them because we're like, no, wait, this has always worked for me in the past. And
Yeah.
recovery brings you to the place where you have to examine all of that in your life. That's what I love about recovery, and I know it's going to change the world because we have to start with us. Like we get
Yeah.
the importance of, to change the world, you got to change you in it. It's you got to change
100%.
it
Yeah.
within you. It's not about making the government do right or these people do right or these people accept me. It's about doing things like taking care of ourselves, making that a priority that, is just makes life so much easier to live. It's like a clear, concise boundary.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I think once you can't really go out and do true good in the world unless you're doing good inside your head.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You love yourself, you're happy with yourself, and if you're not, even if you wake up and you're having a bad day, you know, you don't you're aware of it and
Yeah.
you're aware what's causing it, and you become, you're just this constant machine that is fixing itself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And until you have that ability, I don't think you can go and do true good in the world without having that true inner spiritual connection.
Yes.
And vulnerability is a big one too.
Yeah, and I also think too, what I learn as we go on through the process, because you and I, like, I love these conversations because you and I are in the same, realm of healing, and we've got two different, times in working there, and it's amazing to be able to have these conversations. It fills my heart so full because like I say, it took me until like year 3 to start
Right.
really understanding that I could even actually change myself. We have this mindset that we play the hand we're dealt, so to speak. And I get the saying, but at the same time, it's like it makes me not feel like I had control over how to actually start shaping that hand or
Yeah.
giving these 3 back and getting 2 more, getting 3 more from the deck. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, we can all read motivation and books and stuff, but
Yeah.
it's until you actually put it into action and start working on it, like what all that stuff is actually saying and what it means to you, especially because, one book or one positive motivational quote can mean so much to someone
Yes.
else than it does to me. But I mean, just understanding each part of recovery and what it means to
Yes.
you, and putting that work into yourself it's an amazing thing. And like you said, it's
It
going to
is.
change the world because we're at this time right now where it's not just people in recovery, but the world
Yes.
is there's this huge
Yes.
paradigm shift into
Yes.
spirituality right now.
Yes. Yeah.
And who better yet to lead the way in spirituality than, I know a lot of people say you don't really know what spirituality is till you've really suffered in life and you've
Right.
seen hell. You've seen
Right.
hell,
I can agree with that. Yeah. Yeah.
so I think we're good for forefront leaders to
Yeah.
be showing the world how to, continually work on yourself and find that inner soul searching that, we find once we start getting sober and recovering. And it's a journey. It's never a destination, right?
Yeah.
It's an ongoing journey. You're never, that's why, it's the pursuit of happiness. It's the
Yeah.
pursuit of this.
Yeah.
It's a constant pursuit.
Yes, yes, it's not a one and done. Like there is
No.
no time I get to a place that says I'm recovered and that's it. Not that I will, suffer with the want or trigger to use all my life, but I will be on a constant evolution of change. I will now
Yeah.
be aware of things that do not align to my true self because I see it too as like a rediscovery of my divine self. Like all the things that I was running from is the crap heaped on you by the fear of others. Like when you're a kid, you're dealing with,
Yeah.
the screwed up things of, those in that came before you. And then we continue that. And so it's almost like an uncovering of all the crap and things that we believe that were untrue about ourselves. And then when we fall into what we're naturally led to, I think that there's almost like a fire within you that said that just burns and says, I can't
Yeah.
hold back from this. But at the
Right.
same time, Curtis, when we start to put those things in practices, because you were making a valid point, we can read all the books and we can do all the things. But until when we start actually putting those things into practice in our life, believe you me, your whole nervous system is going to fight you every
Yeah.
step of the way because it's a new program. So it's amazing when I see people honor that place within them
Yeah.
that says, "Okay, I'm at that point. I need to just kind of, breathe out and process all
Yeah.
of this." And I love that. I love to see people
Yeah.
do that for themselves.
Yeah, it's like you said. I mean, there's a infamous quote, knowledge is power, but I don't
Yeah.
think
No.
reading like organized knowledge is power. When you
Yeah.
take the knowledge you're learning and organize it, but like you said, organizing that knowledge takes time. Like
Mhm.
me and Danny were just talking about the book The Power of Now because it's one of our
Uh-huh.
favorites, and
Yes.
a lot of people will fly through that and think that they're this, present spiritual person
Right.
because they've read the book, but it's not about that. Like for us, that book took 4 months to read.
Oh,
You
yeah.
read a little bit at a time, you put it to work, and you don't move on. You don't
Yes.
move on till you put that one previous chapter to work and actually understand it. You're aware, like, holy shit, like
Yeah.
this is it. And I try and do that with any type of knowledge I bring in or any type of content I read. I know we're talking about content, so like when you watch Mike's videos, like I really try and
Mhm.
understand them in my aspect of my recovery,
Yeah.
and I don't flip and stroll through everything and put all that knowledge in my head and think it's all going in there. It's like
Right.
once you see something that really hits home, try and understand it more and why
Yes.
it hit home.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why, people would tell me, all the time when they're just looking at how to grow the podcast and stuff, they're like, "You can't do an hour podcast. It's never gonna work." And I'm like, "You can maybe it won't work for you, but it works, for what I
Yeah.
want to present and what I wanna give." I mean, it doesn't matter if someone doesn't sit down and watch 1 hour all the way through. Those people come to different nuggets and places that mean something to them. It happened to me, like that's how
Yeah.
things started happening in my world is I would just catch this one thing and, that would be the thing I would think on and meditate on and
Yeah.
do, all the work around. And, it is easy. You can change in a moment when something motivates you or you have that spark of hope. It leads us like this charge to want to know more, like it's the hell yes or versus it's a hell no kind of a situation. We'll always credit Pamela for that. But
Yeah.
that living by that place that says, well, wait, if someone asks me to do something, I don't do the regular thing of needing wanting their approval. I'm going to say no. If it's not a hell
Yes.
yes for me, I'm going to have to say, it's just I can't do it. And
Yeah.
that takes stuff like that takes time to put
It
into practice.
does. I mean, especially for, I mean, me and you, I know we've had talks about this a lot over the last couple months because I was suffering a few weeks ago with this, something that had come back since a childhood. And it was always wanting to please others or come off as this person who I thought I wanted people to look at me. And it's
Yep.
hard. Like
Mhm.
when you have that, um, pleasing mentality. You're a people pleaser, and you've always been like that. And like I got hit with it hard coming back again, and it was like it really takes a lot to learn barriers.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I know in recovery it does like it teaches us a lot, but it's something you got to keep working on. For me, it
Yeah.
is. I know, like
Yeah, for
I
sure.
have just this deep soul of wanting to help people, but
Yes.
but also at the same time, like that's a good side, that's a good thing. But
Yeah.
I've got this thing that I've had since a childhood where I always I've got this almost abandonment issue where I don't want people to not love me or not like me right away. So
Yeah.
sometimes I skew things or I make things more, I exaggerate things. And I did that all my life, and especially during my addiction. And when I got sober, that went away.
Yeah.
But like a month ago, it started coming back, and I caught myself. I'm like, whoa, like, what's going on? And
Yeah.
I don't have to do this. I don't have to do this.
Yeah. And
And,
that's amazing work that you're doing in that moment. Like you're
yeah,
reminding yourself is I don't have to do this. And I think what you want, because you're right, we've talked and we do share that same kind of heart. And my wife read me a post today that was about the children of alcoholics, but it really was one of those things where you heard it for your situation. And
yeah,
I could check off every one of those things, and part of that people pleasing and and stuff, and what we've established is people have addictions to most anything that helps them escape,
yeah,
to an
100%.
unnatural, level of their life. Like when it takes over their lives, it becomes like the same as
Yeah,
a drug addiction, like Dr. Gabor Mate, Matt. I don't know how to say his name, but he was saying that he had an addiction to buying orchestra music. That he would
right.
spend $1,800, at a time, just uncontrollably. And so all of us kind of grew up in some ways situation, kind of touched by this because we had the crack epidemic and we had, all of these things happen that has kind of set this generation up to a place where this is where we are, and being aware of that in the
Yeah.
moment. Like sometimes we're not realizing when we're doing the work, and that's
No,
doing the
yeah.
work.
That's doing the work. That's the
Yeah.
best part is um yeah, yeah, it's funny. It's like you're subconsciously conscious about something.
Yes.
Um, it's like you don't realize you're doing the work, but you
Yeah.
are. You're like, and
Yeah.
you catching yourself and being aware of that. For instance, me catching myself and being aware that these old habits were coming
Yes.
back from my childhood
Yes.
is doing the work. That's
Yes.
that's like you just nailing a test.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool. It's like, and and we are talking about other people having barriers, but it's barriers with yourself too. Don't You can't
Yeah.
be scared to have barriers with yourself, because that right
Yes.
there for me was a barrier. You're saying no, Kurt, this
Yep.
isn't you. You're not going to do this. This isn't. That's not who you want to be, and it's
Yeah.
okay to do that.
Yeah, yeah. And then you know the difference between when you are passionately giving of yourself to something that just is the hell yes versus one of those things that you do because when you're in that other energy, that unhealthy
Yeah.
energy. And those things generally are things that don't necessarily pay off. In some ways, it's either one sided, it pays off, or it doesn't pay off for anyone. And then these other
Right.
things kind of lose some of your passion. And so it's amazing to find the awareness of that and do the work within it, and we can do that, that's, to me, that's just what recovery is about, is just that constant thing. And when we do that and we share this stuff out loud, like we're
Yeah.
doing right now, and content creators of all types, they share vulnerably about this stuff that so many people think, because that's what the mind tells us, is that we're all alone. So,
Yeah.
people just believe and they get hopeless and more hopeless because they think they're alone. And so creating content, I think is such a valuable thing, but the
Yeah.
content creator often, can sometimes get so caught up in that passion to, help people that you can lose
Yes.
yourself. I mean, I had to
Very
walk
true. Yeah.
away, just completely, and I didn't know if I would ever do it again or if I would ever, recover any of what I had built. But it just became a place where I could go through some of it out loud, and then there's some stuff you just gotta, pump the brakes and step back. Like this one, I can't share until I've processed it, and
Yeah.
that's what 2021 did for me.
Right. I think a lot of, I said this before, I think a lot of content creators, I mean, I know personally, with our like 100 collaborators of the Sober app, we've had probably about 5 or 6 reach out since February, since we launched, and say, hey, just FYI, I'm taking a break from everything right now. I'm just
Amazing.
overwhelmed. And I know we've experienced that. I was never someone who was huge where I would post 2, 3 times a day. Um, and I think it was last month. I went on and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start posting every single day. I even said it in my post. I'm gonna do 30
Yep.
posts in 30 days. Day 5, I was like, this is just a month. This is a bit much. I don't want to
Yep.
force myself to express myself, or I don't want to force myself to be
Yes.
vulnerable. I
Yes.
can't force myself to be vulnerable. If I'm feeling
Yes.
vulnerable, I'll be vulnerable and I'll
Right.
throw it out there for the world to share, because to those vulnerable posts,
Yeah.
those are the ones that make a huge difference. Honestly,
Yes.
the people in recovery that are actually being vulnerable out loud, kudos to you.
Yes.
Those are the people. We can all watch posts of people sober driving a Ferrari being like, sobriety changed my life.
Right.
That's fantastic.
Right.
But the vulnerable posts are the ones that change their lives a
Yeah.
lot. But they're very hard to, you can't force it, right?
Yeah.
And I think when you trying to do, you know, and post every single day or 2 posts a day, it becomes so it's I don't want to say it's another form of addiction, but
It can
you
be.
start getting, it can be,
Yeah.
and you don't, and all of a sudden you realize it's affecting you. It's really affecting you
Absolutely.
mentally.
Yeah. Yeah, because you find yourself when you've slipped over, it's a very slippery and, it's a almost opaque like line that you
Yeah,
just before you know it, you're there, and you can really tell within yourself if you're in that energy, if your negative comments, if you own them more than you own the people that are saying, "Thank you for this," "I thought I was by myself," and all those things. But if you when you hone in on that negative, and that negative will just stay with you and stay with you, and you find yourself digging up something, well, oh yeah, you can almost tell that you've slipped over into that place where it is feeding, that
yeah,
you're getting those dopamine hits for, the
exactly.
numbers. And it's just the same as addiction in the way that it's not a moral failing when these things happen. It is a human process,
Yeah,
and a lot of times they happen to show us that, because this thing we've seen power and fame take over many people in
yeah,
recovery and
yeah,
watch them spin out of control. You
yeah,
know, I when I came back this time in this season, to me, this has been an amazing divine season. But
yeah. I
I
love it.
made a commitment to myself that I would never be a slave to
Right. Good.
social media again, that if I needed to take a break, I would not fear, because it was tough, man. I'll just be completely vulnerable and honest. I
Yeah.
almost went through DTs when
Right.
you're not getting those dopamine hits of
Yeah, it's
watching
true.
numbers and,
Likes,
algorithms
comments.
and all that stuff. It was hard, and it was an amazing mirror and beautiful, look inside of my own self and my own heart. So
I
bravo
love it.
to everyone out there that is creating content, and that,
100%.
and everybody who's honoring taking their time and their breaks,
Yeah.
and trusting and knowing that it's going to be what it's going to be, you know.
And you know what? If you are one of those people, yeah, you don't don't be afraid to set that barrier, because
Absolutely.
especially everyone in the recovery world, like when we've had people reach out to us, it's like, go do your thing, man. Go do
Yes.
your thing, girl. Like,
Right.
go. Not no one's waking up the next morning and being like, oh, Curtis didn't post today. Where is he? Blah 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 blah.
Right.
They appreciate
Right.
it, and they appreciate when they see your stuff. But if you need to take that break, do it. But thank you for all the
Absolutely.
content everyone's creating, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Being able to watch this grow over, these past few years, I feel such an honor. Like, I feel like such an honor. Like, it's only been like 4, maybe 5, I think it's 5 years now, or
Yeah,
4. And no, 5. So it's 5 years now, and I feel like such an old timer, and 5 years is not even that much. Like, I know people that were in it before, even before I was, a few of them, but just being able to watch what the online recovery community has done in springing up all over. You open a social media platform and we're coming, and I
yeah,
love
yeah,
it. I love it. I
totally,
really do, and it's
100%.
been
Yeah,
amazing, and the people, that you get to connect with and get to know, and the lives that you get to share, and just, I have so many, just soul family. Like, it's just soul family for me. Like, I don't know who believes in lifetimes, but maybe we've, all known each other other
yeah,
times, because it
yeah.
feels so
Another point
comfortable.
in time. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
it,
it
it
just
feels so
feels like you've
comfortable.
known them for no. It feels like you've known them for
It does.
some of the
It
people I've met
does.
online that I still haven't met. I have deeper conversations with them than I do with some of my best friends I grew up with.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know I had to go into this like hermit mode and in that 2021 as well to honor like some healing I was doing and had to go through. Sometimes,
Yeah.
life doesn't give you an opportunity to contemplate whether you want to go through this or not. It's just coming and you're going to go through it. You're in
Yeah.
the middle and you're going to decide then how you're going to go through it. Are you going to go through it struggling and bumping your ass? Are you going to go through it and learn and expand and open and grow? Because it's like, don't suffer for suffering's sake, man. If you can see that there's something here for you that's here to just bring you closer to your divine self and
Yeah.
divinity, let it flow, man. Like let it
Exactly.
flow.
Let it happen. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and you're never going to get it perfect. It's not a destination. Well, tell us, because I know we
Exactly.
only got about 45 minutes with you. Tell us what's new with the Sober app. Tell us all about, the concept Sober app and what you guys are up to, and just talk to us
Yeah,
about
I'll
everything.
give you a little brief thing. What's going on? How it started, where we went, where we're
Yeah,
at, and where it's going.
good.
So when I first got sober, so tomorrow's my 1 year. So
Woo!
it was literally 364 days, I guess. It was a couple days after I got sober. I really started putting in the work. Yeah, it was after a relapse, so I'd already been sober for 3 weeks before my relapse, and
Mhm.
I was always this self educator. I did some meetings, but I just didn't feel like they were for me. I mean, I did
Yeah,
have a bad stigma, but I was just, oh yeah, I've always been a self educator. So I wanted something, I was using Masterclass, I'd used
yeah,
Calm, I'd used all these apps, and I know there are sober apps out there. Um, and but when I was using these sober apps, it was motivational quotes that weren't necessarily working for me. But I noticed a lot of them didn't have really deep resources either. Like
uh-huh,
they didn't have the resources like the books I was reading, the YouTube
right, right,
podcasts I was watching and listening to, the coaches out there that were giving me free, talking with me for free,
yeah,
and especially the collaborators who we call collaborators now, the content
yes,
creators. So when I first got sober, Danny was the fifth person I followed, and
wow,
it was her stuff over the first few weeks. It was her and a few other people's stuff that it was their vulnerability that really helped me grow. And on top of that, reading the books, podcasts, YouTube videos. So I went on a bike trip and I came back. I came back super sober and healthy and just wanting to make a difference now. And I just wanted to create an app that was basically almost like a master class. First it was a master class of sobriety where it was going to have coaches, the people that I was learning from on Instagram. And it kind of it is like that, but it's also like the Spotify, it's the YouTube, it's the Amazon of
yeah,
recovery. It's
yeah,
got it's got your podcast, it's got your YouTube channels, it's got original courses and content you can't find anywhere else. It's got the books. Um, we just started last month doing a lot of virtual events. So we did a vision board,
awesome,
which was so fun and cool. Where
awesome.
six of us hopped on and created a vision board of
Oh, I
where we want to
missed
feel.
that one.
That's my
Oh,
summer body.
I love it.
Um, and then we're doing workouts. We got three sober fitness instructors so far. They're doing workouts. We do group workouts online. We got three yoga instructors now starting next week. They'll be doing Cool Chance Yoga. Sarah Brooke out of Australia. Cool Chance is an amazing. She's one of the biggest YouTube yoga instructors, and she actually
Love
went
it.
through recovery too. So she does
Wow.
recovery based yoga. We're doing Sunday night fire ups, get you fired up for the week from Mike
Yes.
Gleam from Recovery Army Outreach. So our virtual
Nice.
events, yeah. So you can go on, you can join the communities. Communities have topics. They're not just one big community you're thrown into. Um,
Yes.
but just for anyone who does see this, this is just our beta version. This is just our test version. We where we're at now, where we spent the last few weeks is seeing what our defaults are, where we're struggling because we just used a platform. I'm no genius Google coder.
Mhm.
We use a platform that let us build this, but now
Yeah.
we have this minimum viable product. And over the last couple months, we sat down, made lists and lists and lists, talked with our collaborators, said where do we suffer,
Yeah.
where can we be better. But one thing I think still separates us from all the other sober apps is out there is we're not a sober app. I don't think we're a
Yeah.
sober app.
Yeah.
I literally went on every app there was for sobriety, and what it showed me was this is an app for sobriety. The
Yep.
sober app isn't necessarily an app for sobriety. It's an app for
Right.
sobriety and recovery.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the recovery side of it is the biggest aspect of it, where
Yeah.
we're not just, you know, if you're struggling with addiction or you're new in sobriety, yeah, you want to go in there, you want to get all the resources, you want to start counting
Yes.
your days. But we're
Yes.
also for those people that are 4 or 5 years in, or 2 or 3 years in now, that they don't get these urges anymore. They can go to a dinner and everyone can be drinking and they're fine, but
Right.
they want to keep growing, like with
Right.
setting barriers,
Yeah.
learning how to deal with narcissists in their life, blah blah blah. All
Yes.
these things that are surrounded in recovery that
Yes.
either caused our addiction in the first place,
The roots. Yeah.
the roots, and then after the roots are done,
Yeah.
now let's plan for the future. Let's start doing healthy lifestyles. We're gonna
Yes.
have a chef on there doing healthy cooking in sobriety. So it's like cooking, doing vision boards, setting goals,
It's an
getting excited for
awakened
the week.
it's an
Yeah,
awakened recovery app. An
yeah,
awakened
exactly.
recovery
I love
app.
that. So
Yes.
and then where we're at. So now that we've done a lot of this research, now we're just waiting for some. We've been talking to some people, and we're just getting some investments in, some funding, and then we're gonna rebuild it from the ground up, and
Absolutely awesome.
it'll knock the socks off any other thing out there. But I
I have
mean,
no doubt.
more importantly, it's just gonna we just want to we want an app that mainly for the people struggling. It's the
Yeah.
people struggling with addiction, and their early recovery, that we want to provide as many resources, and not from
Absolutely.
doctors. These resources are coming from people like me, from
Yeah.
LC, from Danny,
Yeah.
from Mike,
Yeah.
from all the people you see on Instagram.
Yeah.
These 100 collaborators we have so far have given their time, they've given their love, everything to us, and for nothing. Just saying,
Yeah.
I want to be a part of this. I want to help people. Let's do this. You
Yeah.
know. So that's one of the most magical things, because
It's
I know
amazing.
the topic is content creators, and we would not have been able to create what we have now or where we see this going without the content creators, the collaborators that are doing the posts, writing the blogs, filming the videos, doing the virtual classes with us. It's absolutely amazing, and it's Instagram saved my life, and Danny says the same thing. Me and my
Yeah.
sober Instagram saved my life. I don't know what I would have done. Obviously, the books, the podcast, and sobriety help, but
Yeah.
what's helped me stay sober, and more importantly stay sober but live a happy life, is what the sober app brought me, and that brought me this community of people in recovery, because that's when I actually started reaching out even further, and met people like you, LC,
Absolutely.
met Mike,
Yeah.
met all our amazing collaborators, who honestly we've got about 10-15 of them that are we see on a monthly basis.
That's awesome.
We're good friends with now, and it's just changed my life.
That's awesome. And you said something that's very, very important. One thing that we don't talk about even enough with the majority, and I almost would say 90-95% of content creators in recovery, this is their passion. That the
Yeah,
majority of us work some, full-time jobs, two full-time jobs. Like this is something that is so passionate to us that we, love to share. And I know that some people struggle with, and it's the paradigm of our world that if you give something of your heart, you shouldn't earn a living at it. And yet
yeah,
at the same time, we will buy tickets to see Brendan, we'll buy tickets to see Tony Robbins, we'll buy tickets to
yeah,
see Gabby Bernstein, and
totally,
then tell recovery content creators that you should give this all away. And it's true. There is a certain thing that I will always give. And we talked about this when we were going to come together, is like, look, I want to always make sure that I make content for everyone for free. But at the same time, as I've done this over the years, you start to realize that you break that old paradigm within you as well that says, there is a value to what I have and a value to
100%
what I
there
do,
is. Yes.
and people struggle with that. They really struggle with that in this, especially in this community.
That's a big one, actually. That's
Yeah.
one of the hardest, biggest like things we've encountered too. Is we've had a lot of people say, "Oh, even though we're only charging 4.99 or 3.99 a month, it's like, um, a lot of people have reached out and said, "Oh, I'm not paying. Recovery should be free." And I wish that was the case, but
Right.
for each of us, you know, I'm working 3 jobs here in California right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
In order for this app to even do it, or any app out there, or any sober coach, or you just look at recovery centers, in order for
Yeah.
them to get all those people sober and healthy, how much do they charge? Right,
Absolutely.
$10,000 a month, because
Absolutely.
it takes there's different it takes it takes that in order for us to pump out more content and
Yes.
save more lives, we need to be
Yes.
putting more time into it.
Absolutely.
And you know, if we're working 3 jobs and working 20 hours a day, when are we going to have time
Right.
to show our vulnerability and help people?
Right. And it starts this thing within you where you know start feeling almost stuck, because I also know that people also don't understand that, you know, even for us to do this right now, there is a service fee that I have to pay per
Yeah,
month to be
yeah,
able to do videos like this and send them to places, and to make different intros and things that I do to make the show, you know, develop into my vision and my dream for it.
yeah,
It costs me per month. So I probably pay
yeah,
about $100 per month. I better not say that too loud, but I pay about $100 per month to make this show what it is, because this is
right.
the vision that I have, that I want to give people quality, you know, show. And I feel
And
like sometimes the content suffers because you got to put so much in, you
right.
know,
And
it's
that's
tough. It's
like,
tough.
it's so true because, you know, I mean, when I started paying for the platform that we built the Sober on in December, and it's a few $100 a month,
Yeah.
and we're not even making that yet.
Yeah.
Because we're giving away, we're giving it tons of trials away, and we're still working on some things. But the amount of, so we launched in February. Plus, you got a Calendly,
Yep.
Zoom Pro, all those other apps we have to use. It's
Yes.
thousands of dollars a month,
Yeah.
and like for us to redevelop the app, you know, we've gone to a few developers and said, "This is what we want. How much is it going to cost? $100,000 to $150,000."
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
It's not
So,
cheap, man.
you know,
Yeah.
when we're charging $299 or $399 a month, you just got to understand where that's going towards, and
Right.
it's all going towards hope, like back to the recovery community. That's all we want.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If we could make the system, you know, if we could make the system, then, you know, I do it to where each and every human being on earth could have recovery at any time they wanted. And I will
Oh
always,
yeah,
no matter what, I will always make, you know, content that is useful. You know, I pray that will always, you know, have some, it will be free to those people. See,
yeah.
I don't even have I can't even afford to have like somebody sit in the thing and block all these, you know, these
Or yeah,
block
yeah,
these
yeah,
ridiculous comments. So like it's like I'm doing all this on my own. Like you can see behind the scenes, I have so much going on. But this is the thing that I love the most, man, is getting to share life and conversations and like vulnerability and healing and all of that stuff with the world, that I'll keep doing it for as
yeah.
long as it
You
takes.
got some spam comments
Oh
here,
yeah, I got spam everywhere. And I can
eh?
only see some of it. And so I'm back here like
That's
trying to
funny.
bust this out. You know,
But you
it's
know, I
wild.
know, you know,
But I
so
love it. I
these
love
big
it, man.
podcasts, they have two guys. One guy shown bringing up stuff onto their screen and
Yep.
editing the
Yeah.
videos, and then another guy on the comments. You
Yeah.
know, it's just not the
Yeah.
case with us. You
It's
know,
not.
so I think a lot of people need
Thank you,
to.
pal.
I think a lot of people appreciate it though.
I do too.
They see how hard we're working for basically nothing,
Yeah, and we're
literally
working,
nothing.
and literally working just to bring, you know, hope everywhere. You know, just like to, man, because I know the only reason that I ever felt like I could do anything like this, I never want to do anything like this out loud, man. I quit school because of speech. Like I just, it was not
Yeah,
for me.
crazy.
But I just, when I thought, man, I thought if I can do this, because I just thought I was done. I didn't know anything but addiction. I had no skills in the world. You know, I didn't have enough schooling. I now had felonies. You know, everything was
Yeah,
stacked up against me, but I had to make a choice, man. I had to survive or just give up.
yeah,
So, what are you gonna do, man? I'm gonna give this one last run. I'm gonna survive,
I
and that
love it.
means I got to change every single thing about myself. And then I learned that I could change, I could forgive, I could release all of that. I could be who I was, and I could love who I was. And I think every time I get on to share something like that, that's the only reason I do it, because I swear if
Yeah,
I can do it, I
and
promise you can.
and it might not be that one thing that me or you post
Yeah,
or create that shares that save someone's life, but
yeah,
more importantly, like you just said, us being vulnerable. Like I was the same thing. I hated being on camera. When I was a kid, my mom has photos of me. When every time they took a photo, in that photo there'd be a loogie coming at the screen
Yeah.
because I hated it, and I hated public speaking. I still get nervous,
Yeah.
but it might not be the idea we're sharing tonight that might save the world, but it might be us expressing that vulnerability that someone watches it and says, I'm going
Yes.
to try this. I'm going to start a
Yes.
YouTube channel. I'm going to start a
Yes.
podcast. And it could be that person that reaches the masses. You
Absolutely.
know, it could just be that one
Absolutely.
idea that put in the seed in someone's head that could be the next Tony Robbins of recovery.
Absolutely. I'll tell
Right?
you, hearing that from Maddie Jablonski, I started my online life on Facebook.
Yeah.
And between, when I heard from this little guy named Matt Jablonski, and he said, "I saw you on this." It was a raw video. I used to do my videos so raw on a boat dock before I was going to catch a ferry. And
I've seen those.
he said, "I
I
saw
think
you
I've seen those.
there, and I knew that." He said, "You just inspired me to do the same thing." And now, man, he reaches 10,000 people a day, and he's such an amazing guy. And he's got his version of recovery, and I love it. I love
Yeah.
him. Krista Purdy. She came out around the same time and told me that those things are honors, man. Like, that's an
Yeah.
honor, and it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, you've evolved too.
Amazing.
I remember when I was uploading your content, your first like 10 or 15 videos on YouTube, on your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
You've come a
Raw,
long way.
raw,
Real
raw,
raw.
raw. I heard that
Like
advice
really
that
raw.
said it ain't got to be perfect. You just got to start, or it can never be
Yeah.
perfect. And I was like, well,
It's
I'm
never gonna
going
be
with it.
perfect,
It's
man.
never. You just got to
No.
push record and
But
let
it's the
yourself evolve.
rawness. It's that rawness
Yes.
that is almost like a, it might not be you expressing vulnerability, but it's that rawness that is a form of vulnerability.
You put it out there.
You put it
Yes,
out there and people are like, someone might see that. So many people watch all these podcasts that are, already big because
yeah.
they're at the top of the list and they're in these big fancy studios. And it's just like, I want to start a podcast, but how do I do that? I don't have the money to create a studio. I
Yeah.
tell you what, if you're watching this, scroll down to LC's original YouTube channels or anybody's original YouTube channels. Go to the first
Yes.
4 videos they make, and that's
Yes.
them in their bedroom, in their basement, in their
Better
garage,
believe it.
and
Their
they've just doing
yard.
it on in their yard, in their backyard, or driving in their car. And that's
Yep.
where it all starts. That's where the idea starts, and that's where
It
the magic
does.
starts.
It really, really does, man. And I love those. I love going back to some of those first, like raw videos, and because I did things that just inspired me, man. And what a life you get to live when you
Yeah.
do that. When
And
you do that.
Pamela just made a cool comment. She says she has a hard time just talking to the camera when no one else is there. And it's like that.
It,
It took me a
yeah,
while to start doing that. I'm like, who am
I
I
still
talking
struggle.
to?
I
Me
know.
too.
I
Like
still struggle.
I struggle with putting out videos on Instagram of me just talking. Like usually I'll do a short one or do posters and then I do it on the text. But I know the
Yeah.
videos reach a lot more mass, especially with Reels and TikTok these days. But you know what, Pamela, I still struggle. It's
Yeah.
tough getting on there and like especially when it's all in one take. It's
Oh,
tough.
yeah. Oh, yeah. It is.
You get better at it though. You do.
You do. You do. And she is, because we started doing a podcast that I hope we'll get to pick back up and do after the summer. But we were doing a transgender mentor together. I thought
Love
having
it.
this cis white female, who's 50, she represented like every woman. And here having me as this trans person, and we could have these conversations. And she has come so far on her podcasting skills. I mean, she's
Love it.
really, really coming around. But it is amazing that you just have to get out there and start. So if you have a dream in your heart, anybody who's out there who might watch this, if you have a dream in your heart, regardless of what it is, that thing that
Yeah.
feels like a hell yes inside of you, then make sure that you just start it. Like,
Just
just
start.
do it. And whatever it may be, and be bad at it. Be super bad at it.
Yes. Don't be
Be
scared to be
bad.
bad at it. You
Absolutely.
failing at things, it's when you're gonna learn the most. Actually, not just be bad at it, be horrible at the beginning. Like
Absolutely.
almost want to fail at stuff because you're gonna
Yes.
learn from those failures. And the worse you are at the
Absolutely.
start is the worse you are at the start is how fast you'll succeed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And don't beat yourself up for these things. Don't beat
Never.
yourself up.
Failure is a good thing,
It really, really is.
Every chance of failure is growth.
It is every time, and we just have to, and anytime, even if it brings up that thing that feels like shame within you, even if it brings that up, that is still helping you, because then there's an awareness that that lives there, and then you can start taking that apart at the ego.
Yeah,
Why do I feel
that's
this
it.
way
Yeah,
and feel
yeah,
that, and what does this trigger me? And those things, and you can start to take those things apart. And I
right.
think that, for all of us, one thing needs to be said. We've talked a lot about healing and what you'll know as trauma work and what a lot of people call shadow work, tonight in what we've talked about. And if you are in a place where you feel like you need to have like professional help along with doing this work, like please don't hesitate to get that, because in the beginning of my recovery, I had to be on meds. Like I had to be on
Sure.
depression meds. I had to be on some things because, it's okay to get yourself settled in order for you to begin to get yourself strong enough for the healing process. So wherever you are today, and in whatever stage of the process you are, be kind to yourself. Like be
Definitely.
compassionate to you. Like know what you need is what you need, and stand firm and strong in that.
Yeah.
And we know ourselves.
I like you just made me think of something. It's not quite the same, but for me when I was when I had started my sober Instagram before I took my bike trip, and I always thought in my head, oh, but like I'm not perfectly sober yet. I don't have all these great ideas yet.
Yeah,
I was so scared to create content. And what I've learned in this process is actually while you're in recovery and while you're if you want your early recovery is the I think the content that will help the most people. So
yeah,
if you're comfortable getting on and creating content of your vulnerability early in recovery, don't think that you have to have 10,000 followers. All these people that have 10, 15,000 followers, they've been doing it for a while. Um,
absolutely.
just get out there. If you want to express how you're feeling today, get out there and do it, because it could be that one expression you made today that saves a life.
Absolutely. And don't even let the ridiculous people and spams and
Oh,
haters who come
yeah,
in your box, don't even let them try to, distract you from what you do. What you
yeah.
do is magic to you, and it will be magic to somebody else. And some people just think that that's the best that they can do, is just to do all
Mhm.
that. So I have got to figure out how to get a team put together, man. You're only as good as your team. And
Right.
I have an amazing person on my team. Pamela is an amazing, like I couldn't even do what I do now without Pamela and all she does to help me. And Pamela came along for me at a time that I had lost my first admin who did all of my sharing, and I never even realized what those people do for people. So if you're an admin for people out there, then bravo to you.
Yes.
I see you.
Seriously.
You do so much. Thank you for all you do for us. I mean, we couldn't do this without each other, and it is so amazing when people donate their time, when they believe in your message and they donate their time. And Yvonne Maxwell
Right.
was my first admin, and she died suddenly, a couple of years ago, or in
Dang.
2021, in fact. And it was just derailed. I didn't know what all they did until then. But look, man, I
That's a
knew we
lot.
only had you for 45 minutes. So tell me right here before we, go ahead and end, and I let you get back to life out there in beautiful Cali. I'm coming out there, man. I'm
You're
telling you.
coming out. You
We're coming
better.
out. We're coming out. We're coming out.
So it
We're
was
getting
a
our
hundred
plan.
degrees today.
Was it? It was
100 degrees.
I, I know it's a whole different climate than where we are. Like our 100 degrees and your 100 degrees, I know feels so different. And I can't wait to come
Yeah,
out
well,
there
I
and see
mean,
everyone.
I grew up in Ontario too, so their 30
Really?
degrees was like a really moist 30 degrees. It
Yeah,
was like
yeah.
it was like 20 degrees there is like it's not even 40 degrees here in Cali, because it's just a drier heat here. It's almost like not quite desert heat, but it's like when you go to Arizona and it's 45 degrees Celsius, which is like 110, 115 Fahrenheit. And you're like, oh, it's hot, but it's not like making
Right.
me sweat hot like it is kind
Right.
of in the
Like in
central area where
yeah.
you guys are from. Like when
Oh
you
yeah.
that whole central area, like Ontario and the underneath, and all the way to like New York. When it gets hot there in the summer, it's a different kind of heat.
Oh, it's so different. Like it's
Yeah,
just
you
like
walk
every
outside and you're
day.
just wet.
Oh, I'm just soaking wet on the way home. It
Yeah.
looks like I spray myself with a water hose every day.
Yeah.
It's outrageous, and I'm getting way too old for this shit. That's all I know. This working in the heat. So, but I
Yeah,
appreciate you, Manlin. Tell us
I appreciate
everything
you.
that we want to know. We can follow. Um, you can follow my good friend here at the Sober app on Instagram and
Yeah,
at the Sober dot Nomad. No, do it.
yeah,
You do
yeah.
it.
No, so the app is the sober dot app. Mine is the dot sober dot nomad, or the sober dot nomad. It's that's how much I go on Instagram for my personal, but it's the sober nomad. You'll pop it up. I'm not on TikTok yet, but you can get our app on the Android store, the Google store, or on your web browser. If you go to the sober.app on Instagram, it has all the information, the links. We're just working on our link tree there. But yeah, I mean, I'm just starting. I'm gonna do like almost like a video series of my bike trip that I did 2 months into
Awesome.
recovery. So I'm just kind of working that together. So that's something that I'm gonna be starting to slowly release, which is kind of really cool and exciting. Looking back on that trip, that kind of propelled me into my recovery and my healing. So that's really cool. That's something you can
I
look forward
love it.
to.
I love it. And I can't wait to get out there and, hang out with you guys and meet all you guys firsthand. I'm so ready. Make sure that you give Danny all my love and just honor her for honoring herself. Tell her
Yeah.
that's
Hey.
our that's our jam here at Recovery Soul Food, and we love her and we love you.
Yeah.
And thanks for again for considering Recovery Soul Food to be a
Uh,
part of such a thing that is
you're
close
our
to my
favorite,
heart.
LC. You're our
I love
favorite.
you.
You're my brother, and
Love you.
we love and appreciate you, and all the other content creators out there. We love you. We appreciate everything you're doing, and just keep it up.
I appreciate you so much, man. All right, give everyone our love. Next week
Well, buddy.
you're gonna get another part in this series. It's gonna be just with me, LC, and then on the 25th at 8 o'clock Eastern time, right here live again, we will have Alyssa Caitlin of Alyssa Caitlin Coaching. You can follow her on Instagram as well. Download your Sober app, and we will see you next time, Kurt. I love you, man, and if you
See
need
you
me,
guys.
reach out. All right.
Yeah, always.
Always. All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, bud. If you stuck around, I told you I was going to give you this great, great, great gift from Breakthrough Hypnotherapy, and I will not lie to you. If you go to hypnobreakthrough.com and you mention Recovery Soul Food, Pamela Topchian is going to give you a free full session of hypnotherapy. And I love Pamela, and she is in her passion when she is doing this. Hypnotherapy has been an amazing tool and resource in my recovery process, my awakening process, and my personal and spiritual development. So I urge you to take Pamela up on such an amazing gift. Go to hypnobreakthrough.com. Make sure you tell her Recovery Soul Food and LC sent you. Make sure that you come and join me next week, as it is just me, but I want to give you a message from my heart. Sometimes I like doing solo shows because I don't get to do them too much anymore, but when I feel led, I do. And then again, make sure you're back here on the 25th for Alyssa Caitlin. She is a transformational coach, and I have enjoyed watching her content on Instagram. And so she's another one in this 4-part series. And to all of my amazing, amazing recovery content creators, admins, all of you who help us by sharing and liking and subscribing and doing all of those cool things. I see you, I love you, and I thank you for letting me and helping me live my dreams. Until next time, remember, you can get up from your give up and create a life you love. I love you guys. Bye.